phony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everybody. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the fourth hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from my basement bunker beneath KELO Radio. Welcome to the fourth hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. Hey, it is so great to have all of you along this morning. President Trump, busy on Truth Social here the last few hours. The president said any country, this is about an hour ago, President Trump said any country that wants to play games with the ridiculous Supreme Court decision, especially those that have ripped off the U.S. for years and even decades, will be met with a much higher tariff and worse than what they just recently agreed to. Buyer beware, President Trump says. And then he went shortly after that, and he commented, as president, I do not have to go back to Congress to get approval of tariffs. It has already been gotten in many forms a long time ago. They were also just reaffirmed by the ridiculous and poorly crafted Supreme Court decision. So the president clearly is still a little bit burning over Friday's U.S. Supreme Court decision. Okay, one of the other big stories, and I love this, is the men's U.S. hockey team. And the White House now trolling Canada. The official X account of the White House uses to take a swipe at former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And they said on X, you can't take our country and you can't take our game. Excuse me. That's hilarious. So this is the first time since 1980 that the men's U.S. Olympic hockey team has won gold. So first time since 1980. So it's a pretty big moment. So the White House account trolling Trudeau, and the White House wasn't the only ones. Former NFL star Robert Griffin III said, we took your game. Yeah. Okay, so folks are having a lot of fun with that. There is a piece over, this is at PJ Media, pjmedia.com. And this is a piece by Tim O'Brien. And he's talking about, following the Olympic Games, right? We got the Americans over competing, and I think especially for those who appreciate athletic competition and really enjoy the Olympics. And so O'Brien writes a piece responding to a piece apparently over at the Huffington Post. HuffPost interviewed a number of psychologists who wanted people to know that if waving the American flag or chanting USA turns you off, you're not alone. What? Oh, this just gets crazy. And so Monica Torres said the degree to which you feel, now listen to this, because this is like bat crap crazy, folks. The degree to which you feel shame and guilt right now for cheering U.S. Olympians might also depend on how much cognitive dissonance you have between the stated values of being American, freedom, revolutionary spirit, opportunity for all, versus how our government has actually acted in the hundreds of years since the U.S. was formed. You've got to be kidding me. So, what O'Brien writes in this piece in PJ Media, he says, the bottom line is pretty simple. No one's allowed to have fun while the left is miserable. That is spot on. Have you noticed that? They get sore. You have people out there, and it started out, some of it was reaction to Kash Patel, and then because Kash Patel was cheering on the hockey squad, he was there, and he was in the locker room, had been invited to be there. So he's in the locker room, and he's, clearly enthusiastic about it. And then you get the gloom and doom crowd that comes along. Oh, how much is this costing the American taxpayer? Did any one of those people ever give a crap how much the federal government was spending when Joe Biden was in the White House? I mean, I don't know, Kash Patel, how that trip was funded, but it never even occurred to me to ask, and it's just incredible. But I think Tim O'Brien is right. No one's allowed to have fun while the left is miserable, and it will stay miserable until Trump leaves office. And I would make the argument, no, they'll be miserable that's a permanent condition. Even they may grow more quiet at times, but they will be miserable. There's just, he says, nothing gets under a leftist skin like seeing conservatives as happy warriors, doing their jobs, doing them well, having fun doing them. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It's a great piece at PJ Media. All right. Also this morning, I'm just going to share this briefly. There's a great, and I found the cartoon. This is by Margolis and Cox. It's a political cartoon, and it's the mayor of New York City, Zoran Mamdani, right? He is with a dunce cap, blue dunce cap on his head, saying, Margaret Thatcher said, and then he's writing it on the board. The trouble with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money. Yeah, exactly right. That's the trouble with socialism. Eventually you run out of other people's money. That's Also, the New York Post editorial board. We talked about this last week. And this is a subject that we've talked about a number of times before. Should the U.S. ban kids under 16 on social media? And the New York Post editorial board has written a piece. And they say it's time for Congress and the White House to get serious about banning social media for kids under 16 and empower parents to say, no, it's illegal. Australia has done it. Other countries are looking at it. Laura Trump just told Miranda Devine of the New York Post that the president is taking an interest in the toxic impact of Instagram, TikTok, etc. on America's youth. The reasons are obvious. It's not just the hours burned, at least 20 hours a week for the average teenage girl. But the mental health impact, if you don't know about that, it's out there. There's a lot of research out there. The mental health impact of social media, and not just on kids, but even on adults. That there have been studies showing, and I say this knowing that I'm on Facebook. You notice I'm not on Facebook a lot. but I do use Facebook. The studies that showed the more people were on Facebook, the more depressed they were. The more depressed they were. So people would go on would be feeling fine, go on Facebook, and then get off, and they're depressed after they get off Facebook. Imagine what that's doing to our kids. Those who are spending, 12, 14 hours a day on social media. And so the New York Post says the reasons are obvious. It's not just the hours that are burned, but the mental health impact. Beyond that is other dysfunction. An entire generation that's too easily bored, appalled at the thought of reading entire books. So they are encouraging President Trump then to take some action, banning kids under 16 from social media. Generally, I'm not as bans, and I'm going to withhold judgment on that as to whether or not, but it totally makes sense. I would rather leave it in the hands of parents. Unlike many of you, I would rather leave it in the hands of parents. Problem is, a lot of parents aren't going to do it. A number of other parents are going to say, I would love to do it, but I can't keep an eye on my kid 24 hours a day. I got to work, and I'm out there and I'm trying to do what I can. I'm trying to raise my kids. So I'm trying to keep them off social media, but I can't be there every moment of the day. I think it's a tough problem. What do you think? What's the correct solution there? If you've got comments, share them with me. I would love to see them in the comment section as to what you think the right approach would be to that. I think, and the New York Post editorial board touches on this. They say banning smartphones in school has been a good start. Plenty of parents are now cracking down as they realize kids should not be on social media at all, but it's not enough. And then they go on and talk about holding big tech accountable. That's not enough, that we need to do more in order to have some impact on this problem. I think, can we all agree it is a problem? So what's the correct thing to do? There's going to be disagreement. There is on everything anymore. We don't agree on anything, do we? So there's no agreement, but clearly it's a problem. And I agree with the New York Post. And they say, of course, no ban will be perfect, but it's illegal, gives parents a way out of arguments over how unfair they are in limiting screen time. And we need to have a national discussion on this. I totally agree. We do need to have a national conversation about what's going on. You have Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, who was testifying last week in a case that he is facing. Some of the other social media companies settled with that young woman rather than go in and, be part of that case. But how do you handle it? Admittedly, it's a problem. Should the U.S. ban then for those who are under 16? Do you ban social media for those under the age of 16? It's an interesting proposal, and I welcome your thoughts. Share your comments with me, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, X. I love hearing from you. Drop me an email anytime, greg.belfrage@kelo.com. And I'm going to leave it there for today. You have made it to the end of the video, so you are part of my gallery of champions. Special salute to the Bunker Brigade. Those are the folks that are on YouTube commenting each and every day. I've been running out of steam here. If I am not begging you to become a subscriber of the Greg Belfrage Show on YouTube, then a lot of folks just don't subscribe. Oh, and then I say that, and I picked up, in the last few minutes, I picked up an additional subscriber. I haven't had anybody for nearly about a week, I think, since I had any new subscribers. So thank you to whoever that was. If you are not a subscriber of mine on YouTube, please consider becoming one. I would really, really appreciate it. I'm not going to ask anything else of you. Just be a part of our conversation. Share your thoughts with me. Engage, think, and I'm glad for you. So let's leave it there until tomorrow. Until then, my friend, I'm underground and gone.